How you guys doing today? This is Luis Joel and happy Memorial Day weekend. And to celebrate, we're going to be smoking up a brisket in the Weber Kettle. As always, these recipes are easy to follow along at home so you too can make a brisket just like this in your own backyard. Enough talk, let's get into it. Today I'm starting off with a 15-pound brisket that I bought from US Foods. I'm just going to carefully remove it from the packaging, make sure you don't cut yourself. And when you go to dispose the plastic, just make sure you don't get any of it on your counter. Make sure you properly dry it off with some paper towels. And I'm not going to go too much into detail of how I carve my briskets. There's plenty of videos out there showing you how to properly trim a brisket, but I'm just going to go over some stuff. You remove a lot of the decal fat in the back, a lot of silver skin. I like to just shape up the brisket a little bit. And since this is a prime brisket, you can definitely see the marbling. Gonna trim the fat down to about 1/4 inch, but I tend to take off more than most people. I always tell people to carve as much as you want or as little as you want to your own discretion. It just depends on how much fat you want in the final product. After you're done carving, always check to see if you missed any spots. We're doing a simple SPG rub today. Shout out to Chud's Barbecue for the 16 mesh black pepper. But basically it's 1 part black pepper, 1 part kosher salt, and 1/2 part of granulated garlic. You're gonna put all of that into a shaker bottle and mix it up well. To avoid making a mess on my counter, I just transfer it over to a foil pan, and I'm gonna just sprinkle the seasoning evenly as possible all over the brisket. I don't use a binder, I just don't think binders are necessary. And that's how you want your brisket to look. And like I said, we're gonna be smoking with the Weber Kettle today. This is the 22-inch model. I'm using the slow and sear attachment from my SNS travel kettle. I'm just gonna fill up the basket with some charcoal, and I'm gonna take a charcoal chimney and light a couple of them in the chimney. Just using some fire starters. Now you want to make sure all the charcoal in the chimney is lit before you go ahead and pour them onto one side of the basket of the slow and sear. This way all the lit charcoal will slowly light all the other charcoal in the slow and sear basket, and this will give you a nice long burn time. I'm just going to put the grate back on, and I'm going to spray everything down with some cooking oil. And to monitor the temperature inside the cooking grate, we're going to use a wire probe. We're gonna let this preheat, and today we're smoking with post oak wood. Once the grill has been preheated, we're gonna go ahead and add the chunks. We're gonna just add a few of them just so we can get a nice steady stream of smoke throughout the cook. And I'm just using a water pan just to help regulate the temperature in the cooking chamber. And I'm gonna set my bottom vent to the preset low and slow position, which is the second dot from the left. It is now 12 o'clock and my temperature is set, and we're gonna go ahead and start smoking this brisket. Make sure to place the point of the brisket towards the lit charcoal side, and we'll check back on this in about 3 hours. And as you can see, we've got clean blue smoke. It is now 3 p.m. guys, it's been about 3 hours. We're gonna go ahead and check the brisket to see if we have to spritz anything. The bark is now starting to set, so I'm not gonna go too crazy with the spritz. I'm just gonna spritz kind of like the drier end pieces or the crusty bits. And we're gonna let this keep going for a few more hours. After 5 more hours, we're gonna go ahead and check the brisket again. I've been spritzing every couple hours, and I put a little aluminum foil ball under the brisket to just help tilt it to the side so it doesn't pull juice on one spot of the brisket. I'm just gonna flip around the brisket just so that way we can get even cooking on both the point and the flat. And throughout the cook, I have been adding more briquettes to one side of the slow and sear just to replenish the briquettes. And I did add another water pan because it seemed that my water was drying out pretty quickly. Okay guys, it's now 10 p.m. and after about 10 hours of smoking in the Weber Kettle, we're gonna take a look at the brisket. And as you can see, our bark is completely set, and I'm gonna get this thing ready to wrap. Another shout out to Bradley Robinson from Chud's Barbecue for popularizing the foil boat, and that's exactly what we're gonna be using today to wrap our brisket. This way the top of the brisket is still exposed so it continues to render the fat and build more bark. We're gonna leave this in for another couple more hours until the brisket is done. Now, after about 12 hours and 40 minutes of cooking time, this brisket is done. It is probing tender in both the point and the flat. I'm gonna let it cool down to about 160 degrees, and then we're gonna rest it in a turkey roaster overnight. A turkey roaster is a great way to hold your briskets at 150 since it maintains a perfect 150 degrees for long periods of time. I'm just going to place the brisket on a pan, and I'm going to monitor the temperature with these wire probes just to prove to you guys that the turkey roaster does hold it at a perfect 150 degrees. Now 11 a.m. the next day, and as you can see, 150 in both the meat and the ambient temperatures. And we're gonna remove the brisket from the foil boat, and do make sure to pour the juices on top. And we're just gonna cut in the middle of the brisket to separate both the point and the flat. And there you have it, some juicy smoked brisket. Very, very thick smoke ring on this one though. Always try to cut thin slices on the flat. I'm not very good at slicing, so I always end up cutting pretty thick. And with the ends, you want to cube them up. And there you go, a nice piece of the flat. It definitely passes the bend test. It's pretty tender, so it pulls apart with no trouble at all. I always cut a little bit thicker on the point end. And you got some beautiful burnt ends. Well, there you guys have it. Smoked brisket on the Weber Kettle. Guys, make this for your next cookout. I'm telling you, your guests would love it. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.